I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, July the 27th, brought to you in part by Performance Livestock Analytics. Manage your feedlot operation anywhere, anytime with Performance Beef. Market lunges to open the week. Started out Monday with your board up big. We kind of felt like it was going to be that way, and if you don't believe me, watch the last visit that we had, but we felt like it was going to be that way. We had tons of bullish fundamentals, including bullish or friendly cattle on feed report, a pretty bullish mid-year inventory report that not only came in with head counts on all your most important beef categories lower, they also adjusted the prior report lower on your beef cows and heifers. So, you know, those are all bullish things. Our cold storage report was bullish. Just about everything, you know, was going that way. Now let's see if we can see some fat cattle sellers get packers to give more for cattle. That'll be the thing. We've got to convince some of these people that go along the board that at some point you can take advantage of the market whenever it's your turn. And we've got to do that. Guys have to ask more for cattle, demand more for cattle. And you know, we look at your live cattle futures going off not too far off in the future. They're all over 130, and April is up over 140 now. But can fat cattle bring 130 cash again? I got to see it to believe it. You know, we get up there and we start tweaking around a little bit with 125, and then it falls back and gets back in the high teens, and we just can't seem to you know, get up to that 130 level and push beyond. But we just don't have any leverage in the fat cattle market at all. Now your feeder cattle market, I mean, everybody seems to be wanting some of those, even though our inputs are pretty high, including feed costs for sure. But you know, everybody I was talking to on Monday were just saying, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And everybody had a crazier quote, and they said, oh my gosh, I can't believe cattle are bringing that. It's crazy. And your feeder cattle buyers just can't wait to blow their heads off on these feeder cattle. But it's also your corporate feeders, and by corporate feeders I mean packer partners. I guarantee you, when one of these big corporate feeders buys cattle, somebody at the plant knows that those cattle were bought, even if they're weighing 700 or 800 pounds. They make a mark there. Okay, we got another load of those cattle. And you know, and the packers may not be paying for those cattle literally and directly, but they're getting those cattle, you know, put together, and you know, they got a sweetheart deal, and they're getting those numbers captivated for the future, because they know that our numbers of market ready cattle down the line are going to get extremely tight, and they want to keep the market from getting too high, because they've already given up a bunch of their big margins that they were carrying here a few months ago, and they don't want to get down to where they're, you know, just making no more money than what your cattle feeders are making. Heaven forbid they try to get by on that little amount of money when they're only owning those cattle for a few days at a time. But let's look at the board on Monday to start the week. August live cattle futures up $1.95 at 123.45. October up 205 at 129.20. Go on your back months, and they were up 20 to up $1.07. And all of your cattle contracts, the biggest gains were the most nearby contracts, and the lightest gains were the ones the furthest out. August feeder cattle up $2.12 at 162.20. September up $2.30 at 164.82. Go on to back months on feeder cattle, up 60 cents to up $1.95. So pretty big gains there on your futures market. How about your weighted average on last week's negotiated fat cattle trade out of your 5-area feeding region? 65,300 head is all. That's nothing but just a smidge more than the previous week at 60,900. But look at the same week a year ago, 100,000 head. And I've told you guys many times that's what we used to trade in almost every one of your 5 area feeding regions. We'd have 500,000 head negotiated, but we sure don't get that anymore. But look at your prices. Live steers and heifers sold $1 to $5 lower, with price ranges from $117 to $125. Your weighted average on live steers was $120.77 for last week, down $2.05. Your dressed price range on steers and heifers, $194 to $202. Dressed steer weighted average $196.78. That was off $1.02 there, but they'll be higher this week. How much? I don't know, but you know, guys have got to put their foot down here. Nationwide negotiated sales were 76,800. You know, that's not even robust for your 5 area feeding region, let alone the whole nation. But 76,800 negotiated. Formula sales 279,400 head. You know, that's kind of ridiculous. But of your negotiated sales, 76,800, only 27% of those, or just over 20,000, were for the 15 to 30 day delivery. So even though they may have wanted to buy some of those cattle, you know, out front here on the backside of the month there, they couldn't get it done because they're hungry for cattle right now, even though they haven't really, you know, stepped up your slaughter, your harvest on there. But it was a little better than what we feared it was going to be last week. So we'll see what happens this week. But negotiated grid cattle are rising big time, and the packers are turning in a lot more negotiated grid because some of your trade associations are using negotiated grid to try to bolster your negotiated cash numbers. Now, negotiated grid is where they give you a base price and then give you some kickers and premiums and discounts there from there. The problem with that, as far as trying to get price discovery, is we're not privy to any of those conversations. You know, you don't hear the guy on the radio saying, you know, that they're going to give a guy, you know, $2 a pound dressed negotiated grid, and then find out later, you know, how much his premium was. We don't see that. It takes away from price discovery. So that's why it's not a great deal. Now, I always say negotiated grid, second best way to sell cattle, because it doesn't give your packers captive supply. You know, they still have to come in there on an active week and get some numbers put together. But I wonder how much negotiation is going on a lot of these grid sales that they're turning in. I bet it's just the ones where the guy begs for a kill schedule, they give him one, and they throw him under the negotiated grid column. Talking about box beef cutout values, they're gaining ground again, so they bottomed out middle part of last week, so they're coming back. Packers back making bigger margins here if they don't have to give up any more for what they're paying for the cattle, but surely they'll have to pay a little more this week, or maybe 3 or 4 more. Box beef cutout values, choice cuts on Monday afternoon, $267.93, up $1.30. Selects $250.92, up 98 cents. Something we haven't talked about for a long time, and normally it's not a big deal to talk about, but you wonder where packers are making money. How about on the drop value? Drop value was almost $14 a hundred on Monday afternoon. That's almost $7 over the same time a year ago. I mean, almost twice, or it is twice. And almost $5 over the 2019, so you can't just blame it on things that were happening a year ago. These guys are making big money on the blood, the guts, and the hide, and there's money in that. I'm not exactly sure how they've cranked it up. Maybe it's just inflation. Everything's higher, I guess, but twice as high as a year ago on your drop value. Wow. Let's talk about your feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Monday sitting at 150.253. That was up 52 cents from the end of last week's trading. What's going on this week? Don't forget the big special at Philip the Giant here today on Tuesday. I think it's 9 o'clock on Mountain Time there. But get your orders in there and make sure you're bidding on those cattle. I got over 4,000, mostly yearling right off grass there, and I mean they'll be in good condition. It's been dry up in that country, but Phillips anniversary barbecue special going on here today on Tuesday. Look at your Monday sales. Okay, Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 8,600 head. Feeder cattle, $2 to $5 higher. That's great. Well, I told you guys these early high volume Monday sales would be higher. Steer calves, $4 to $6 higher. Heifer calves, $1 to $4 higher. Joplin Regional Stockyards, 4,700 head. It's not normal for a sale barn to underestimate their run, but Joplin thought they were only going to have 4,000. Showed up with 4,700. Market was steady to $4 higher. Look at a stick out quote from Joplin Regional Stockyards. 122 head of 849 pound steers bring 152.75, and Jackie Moore will tell you he's not all about the individual quotes and big prices on one deal, but that's what cattle are bringing there in a market that features commodity cattle. How about some individual quotes all around the circuit? Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota. You talk about a long string of big steers and what they brought. 486 head, 996 pound feeder steers at $146. It wasn't very long ago we couldn't get that for a single load of slick, thin 800 pounders, guys. How about Martin Livestock Auction in Martin, South Dakota? Man, did they have a sale. I had several guys call me about what was going on in Martin. The Gearson Ranch there had a big consignment in there. They sold 120 black steers, weighed 848 for $165.50, and 244 head of brothers weighed 780 at $170.25. Wow. But I talked to Ted Baum, and I tell you what, he had an impressive sale there. And I told him, I said, boy, you hit it right this time. And he said, finally. But Elgin Livestock Sales in Elgin, Nebraska is your Zach Tran top quote for the day. Ted Baum and company there. King Brothers Cattle had big consignment in there, including 7 loads of black baldy heifers. 7 loads of them, average around 880 pounds at $148.60. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.